We are living in some unusual times right now. The COVID-19 pandemic has had huge effects on the sports world. With Major League Baseball, the Miami Marlins season was suspended until further notice. The Philadelphia Phillies were shut down. The Cardinals had 13 team members test positive for the virus after being seen at a casino without proper precautions. With MLB having 6 of their 30 franchises shut down because of the virus at one point, along with nearly 40 games canceled, the MLB season is bound to be canceled sooner rather than later. Or they'll milk it until it has to be. So what I am proposing is not for Major League Baseball, but this is for the NFL. What the NFL needs if they want a season is a bubble, just like the NBA and NHL are doing. The bubble idea, the NBA in Orlando and the NHL in Edmonton and Toronto seem to be working out well. Both leagues have had 0 positive cases as of late. I know for football this is hard to do since there are 32 teams and the season hasn't even started yet. But the NFL reaps what they sow. They had all spring and summer to prepare for this and did absolutely nothing during that time. They just thought, well, we're not affected yet, so let's just wait until the last minute. But getting back to the point, it will be nearly impossible to have 32 teams in one bubble area. So they're going to have to do something similar to what the NHL is doing. Have separate conferences and separate bubbles. You can have the NFC go one place, such as Los Angeles, and have the AFC go to another, such as Indianapolis. For TV purposes, have the schedule played over 4 days of the week, Thursday through Sunday. The teams playing on each day switch days every 3 weeks, so it will be easier on the bodies after each game. For example, a team can play on Sunday for 3 weeks, and after that, they could switch to Thursday. Players have already done the Sunday to Thursday transition for Thursday Night Football, so they can do it at least twice a year like they do at the most. Now, this is accounting for the fact that college football likely won't be played. I do think having Friday night games will give the players a throwback feeling from their Friday Night Lights high school days, which makes sense because high school football is being moved to the spring across the country. So if we're going to have to sacrifice AFC-NFC matchups, what the NFL should do is have a 12-game season, all interconference games, make division matchups more crucial than they already are. Weeks 1 through 7 could be used for division games, while weeks 9 through 14 could be used as interdivisional games. Week 8 is the perfect buy in my opinion because it gives players a week off and gives ample time for games to be made up if they are canceled due to COVID. Come playoff time, I really think the playoffs should be expanded this year. It'll be strange to say the least, but it's only for one season. What I think should happen is a 24-team playoff. Have the 1 through 12 seeds of each conference get in. This is the idea of John Breach of CBS Sports. I think this idea is fun, but it's a little too crazy to happen if the bubble season is approved. So let's get into it. After the regular season ends, the 1 through 12 seeds are automatically in the playoffs. But what about the 8 teams that didn't make the playoffs? Well, Breach came up with the idea of an NFL draft tournament. Based on last year, the 4 teams with the worst records in each conference would get in. So, for example, the Browns, Chargers, Panthers, Dolphins, Giants, Lions, Washington, and the Bengals would be your 1 through 8 seeds. Lower seeds are basically the teams with the worst records. The problem I have with this is that it incentivizes winning to get the number 1 pick, and the worst team wouldn't get the number 1 pick, so that's my issue with it. However, TV networks would definitely be on board with it because of the craziness of the idea, and it makes up for lost weeks of the season, which amounts to more TV revenue. Getting away from that, the main playoffs start 2 weeks after the draft tournament. In the playoffs, the 4 best teams in each conference have a bye week. In the NFC, if this was last year, it would be the 49ers, Packers, Saints, and Eagles, leaving it to the 5 through 12 seeds to battle it out in the first week of the postseason. For example, the NFC would look like this if this were the playoffs last season. The Seahawks and Vikings were the 2 wild cards at 5 and 6 seeds, so that's their seeds. The Rams missed the playoffs by 1 game, and they had the tiebreaker over the Bears, so they get the 7 seed, while the Bears get the 8 seed tiebreaker over the 9th seeded Cowboys. Seeds 10 through 12 are the Falcons, Buccaneers, and Cardinals. So starting week 16 are the 5 through 12 seed games. Week 17 has 8 teams in each conference battling it out. Week 18 is basically the divisional round, but with 8 teams instead of 4 teams. Week 19 is the draft playoff championship, so whoever wins that tournament will win the number 1 pick in the draft. and also any playoff games that were postponed due to the virus are to be made up. Week 20 will be the NFC and AFC Championship, which will feature the 4 winning teams from Week 18. And after that is the Super Bowl on February 7th, which will end the craziest season in NFL history. This playoff plan by Breach is so crazy that I don't see it happening. But with the sacrificing of AFC-NFC matchups, I think it makes the most sense if the NFL were to go that route if the bubble plan is approved. Basically, the expanded playoffs and the draft tournament would help the NFL recoup lost TV revenue from 4 weeks of regular season play taken away. But it's not necessarily a given that there will be a football season, at least for the NFL. College football, most notably the Big Ten, Pac-12, the Mountain West Conference, and other smaller conferences, have canceled their season and plan to move to a spring schedule. We know that the Big 12, ACC, and SEC will continue to play. So, that's more TV possibilities for the NFL if college football ends up canceling altogether. My bet is the NFL just goes ahead and they'll have a season. It's just the next man up mentality. We're going to have a season. We don't want to lose out on any lost revenue, so let's just go ahead and have a season. I think the owners want to do it, and of course the players want to do it, because if the players didn't have a season, they wouldn't earn any of the money. Well, one stark difference that we obviously know of between the NFL and the NCAA is that while the NFL players definitely do want a season, they have a say in wanting a season, they have a say in having a season. Whereas in college football, despite players like Trevor Lawrence wanting a season, forming the foundation for the first college football players union, college players don't have a say in having a season. So that's a very stark difference between the NFL and college football. That is the reason why we're probably going to have an NFL season and not a full college football season. And another reason is having players on campus while all the other students are taking classes online for the semester would basically make the NCAA admit that their players are employees. And also the players playing college football are kids while the NFL is grown adults. But more on that in a different setting. And that is why I believe the NFL will have a season, but if they do have a season, I believe it should be in a bubble setting. Let me know what you think about this proposal. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you next time.